rainy, super rainy. I know. That's why I moved. I'm like, send me to Arizona. I moved in 2021. I'll t share why in a few minutes, but yeah, Oregon's beautiful, but mostly in July. Rio Verde AZ. Oh, awesome. You're in Arizona as well. Amazing. All right, everyone. We're Atlanta, Georgia. Oh, I've got a couple friends in Atlanta. I've heard it's beautiful there. They actually moved from Oregon, so they get a little bit warmer weather. All right, so let's get started. How many of you have gone to the doctor and you feel like absolute crap and they tell you everything's normal? Just write me if you feel like that's happened to you. Or how many of you have a what I call supplement graveyard? So you have bought supplements and you take like half the bottle and then you put them in a cabinet because they're not really working. And now you just have like 1,000 bottles of supplements in your cabinet that don't seem to do much. I know I sure did. I'm like, oh my gosh, if I can only get the money back from all those years of supplements. So you're in the right place if that is resonating with you. Um, and we're going to get kicked off here. So, three things that you're going to learn today: why you're not healing on diet and supplements alone. What is the correct framework for healing? We're all trying to get feeling better, especially in the new year. We've got health goals. What do we do to actually achieve those goals? And then how a glitch in your system could be causing these reoccurring symptoms. Disclaimer, I'm not a medical doctor. I don't play one on TV. Please consult your doctor. This is not medical advice. This is for educational purposes only. All right, so you're in the right place. If you have ongoing weight issues or inflammation that just won't go away, you're exhausted no matter how many hours of sleep that you get, you might have an autoimmune disease or just these chronic mystery symptoms. Maybe you don't have a diagnosis, but you're just like, I know something isn't right. Um, you're struggling to do better, to feel better despite doing everything right. We always know, okay, fix your diet, reduce your stress, but you're doing all those things and you still don't feel good. Maybe you have chronic pain, maybe you have hormone issues, adrenal fatigue, maybe you have hair loss, headaches, migraines, joint pain, and you're not sure what to do, where to go, who to trust, and how to get feeling better, because that's the goal, right? We just want to get out of this healing system. So a little bit about my story. I got mono, and I was really never the same after that. I got diagnosed with celiac disease in 2004, and I finally got my diagnosis, and I was like, yes, now I have answers. And little did I know that was just the beginning of a whole host of trials and tribulations with my health. I got down to, I did the elemental diet, which is essentially no food for 3 weeks, but I got down to about 5 foods. I had chronic bloating, fatigue, brain fog, migraines, you name it. I tried it to get better, all the supplements, ozone. I then went down the mold rabbit hole, which I did have mold. And so I moved a couple through, I went through about 3 houses, ended up living in a tent to feel better. And that's when I moved to Arizona so I could kind of dry out in the desert for a little bit. I went after a Lyme disease. I stung myself with bees for 3 years to try and get better using bee venom and venom therapy. I tried brain retraining, medical doctors, naturopaths, acupuncturists. I'm sure some of you can relate to this, where you go and you get your hopes up and you try all the things, Western, Eastern, everything in between, and you're just not getting better. So maybe your story isn't as extreme as mine, but just so you understand where I'm coming from and how I can relate to a lot of your symptoms. So, frankly, I got tired of trying new naturopaths, doctors, chiropractors. I'd get my hopes up and I'd be like, okay, this is it. This is what's going to fix me, only to be let down again with the same cycle of symptoms, the bloating, the fatigue, the brain fog, the joint pain. And so I went back to school and I decided to become my own best healer. I studied naturopathy, blood work, mind body medicine. I worked in hospitals and I wanted to get out of this healing. I just didn't want to think about healing anymore. I just wanted to go to dinner with my friends and not be afraid to order off the menu. And I wanted to be able to travel and play with my dog. And, you know, if I forgot something in my bedroom upstairs, not look at the stairs and be like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get myself back up those stairs? I just wanted to be able to run back up and grab whatever I forgot up there. Um, so I started studying and trying to figure out what to do to get better. I just was like, I'm going to heal myself. I'm going to get out of this cycle of symptoms. And here's what I've learned. So here's an image of how your symptoms start to show up. So your body is like a bathtub, and every stressor, every toxin, every trauma, every low mineral food that you eat adds water to your tub. A tough childhood, few inches of water. A high stress job, more water. Maybe a house with mold, more and more water. And even little things will add water to your tub, like overstimulation, poor sleep. Maybe you're watching a stressful show. I know I've tried to avoid those lately. Alcohol, low nutrition, they add drops to your tub. And our bodies are built for this, right? Like we should be able to go through something stressful that adds water to our tub and we can process it, recover, reset, and then our bathtub is all good again. But when a stressor comes on faster than our body can drain, the water level rises. And what I've seen for myself and in clients that I've worked with is it's usually one thing that pushes your bathtub to overflow. So you move into a moldy house and you think, gosh, if it wasn't for that moldy house, I'd be fine. Or maybe you got COVID. I know a lot of my clients have come to me and they're like, I've just never been the same after COVID. I got COVID. Now I've got histamine issues and headaches and all the things. Or maybe you go through a divorce and before you know it, you've got hair loss and fatigue. And so when you start to have these symptoms, it's because your bathtub is overflowing. Those symptoms are going to be the fatigue, the bloating, the hormones, the skin issues, the food sensitivities, because your body's trying to communicate with you, saying, "Hey, help, we need some help here. I need to drain this tub." So what do? You have these symptoms, you call your doctor, you go get your blood work taken, they're like everything's normal, or maybe there's a one or two markers out of the optim the range and they're like, oh, we'll just watch those. But they never really give you a game plan to heal. And so you leave, you resort to Dr. Google, you type in your symptoms. You're like, oh, I just need to be gluten-free and that will fix it. Or, oh, I just need this supplement and that will fix it. So that you do that for a little bit, you feel a little better, but then your symptoms return. Then you go back to Dr. Google and you're like, still tired, still brain fog. So you take out more food groups, you add in more supplements, and before you know it, your life is pretty darn limited because you are living so restricted. And I did this too. I could not get out of this loop of cycle and symptoms. And it's really hard to get out of when you don't really have a framework to heal. And we always hear the internet talk about root cause, right? Like, what's your root cause? I'm going to let you in on a little secret. There's never one root cause. We are mind, body, spirit beings. So we're like an onion. There's layers to our root causes. There's never just one thing. And sure, you might go, oh, but I took SIBO pills and my SIBO went away. Sure, but there's a reason upstream that your SIBO might have started in the first place. We're multi-layered beings. There's never just one reason why you are going to have symptoms. Um, so we're just like an onion if you think of our bodies like that. And what I've seen in my own health journey, as well as the clients that I've worked with, is this. No matter the symptom, insert your symptom, fatigue, bloating, weight issues, hormone issues, whatever your symptom is going to be. If we focus only on that one symptom and we chase symptoms, true healing is rarely going to happen. The nervous system, on the other side of healing, is constantly influencing our digestion, our hormones, our inflammation, how much energy it produces. So they're working hand in hand. So we can eat perfectly and we can do everything right and take the supplements, follow the best protocols, hire the most expensive functional medicine doctors. But if your nervous system is still in survival mode, your symptoms are going to come back. The same way as if you live in a moldy house and you're doing all these nervous system retraining and you're taking supplements, it's going to be pretty hard to heal if your environment isn't right. You can't out supplement a stressed out brain, and you can't also out supplement or out nutrition yourself out of a moldy house. They go hand in hand, physical and emotional. And so The thoughts and the stress patterns and the emotional load, if you're not addressing that, you're going to stay stuck. And if you're eating McDonald's every day, and not getting the right amount of light and living in mold, you're going to stay stuck too. So, our brains and our bodies are not separate systems, right? We are mind, body, spirit beings. We just like my head is attached to my shoulders, which is attached to my stomach. Everything's connected. It's never just one thing. There's not just one root cause. And I love Albert Einstein's quote. It says, "You cannot solve a problem with the same thinking that created it," right? I'm going to say that again. So you cannot solve a problem with the same thinking that created it. So what got us here is not going to get us out of here. We got to kind of look at things a little bit different. And for many of us with chronic symptoms, the problem wasn't just food. It was the years of stress and trauma and pressure and perfectionism and pushing through when our bodies are trying to talk to us that kind of got us here in the first place. And so now we're trying to fix it, but our bathtubs are still full. Another way to kind of visualize this, I really like analogies, it helps me understand. So if you imagine a orange tree, I have a beautiful orange tree in my backyard. And there's the physical stuff that I can see, right? The leaves, the branches, that's all the physical things like the food, the light, the water. If we think of our body like this orange tree, that stuff's super important. The light, the food, however it gets fed, that's important, right? But if we're a tree, we can't just close our eyes and squeeze out a big, beautiful orange if we just try harder, right? Like if we just really try really hard, we're not just going to pop out this beautiful orange. It all depends on our root system and how healthy our root system is. And our root system is all the things you can't see in our body, the trauma, the stress, the unforgiveness, the limbic system, the dysregulated limbic system. We'll talk about that more in a minute. And so if we don't look at the whole framework of the tree, the roots to the end of the branches, that tree's not going to be healthy. Just like our bodies, we got to look at each layer of our body to achieve that true health. So with this in mind, I used all the tools and training that I had learned in my education and started working on myself. And I tried to figure out, okay, what pieces do I need to heal? And then I started working with my clients. And something became clear. Despite my clients, no matter what their diagnosis was, no matter what their symptoms were, we were all in that same loop, chasing those symptoms and missing key pieces of the puzzle. And so many were coming to me and they were taking handfuls of expensive supplements and not addressing things like light, which is free, making sure that they lived in an environment that didn't have mold. For me, my limbic system was so stuck and shut down that no amount of healthy food that I was eating was even probably getting absorbed or digested because I was in just this like shut down freeze mode. And once I addressed that, I started to feel better. And so I created the Medella Method. So what is that? That's meals and nutrition. What should we be eating? How much should we be eating? Is our blood sugar balanced? Emotions, stress, and trauma get locked inside our bodies, not so much our brains, but our bodies, our organs. And that can prevent true healing. Drainage. It's no secret that we live in a world that is toxic. Well, every single day, the second you walk outside, the second you walk inside, we're around toxicity. And sure, our livers are meant to detox that, but we live in a pretty toxic world right now. And so, how can we support our drainage pathways to get that toxic crap out of there? Environment. Mold can be a huge problem for many. It was for me. How can we make sure that we're not living in mold? What do we need to do to make sure that our environments are clean and stay clean? Limbic system. We're going to talk more about this in the next few slides. Limbic system is used to retrain your brain. It's part of your brain system. Then we have light. We've been taught to fear the sun. We've been taught to grab our phones every morning and look at it and look at blue light all day long. We're under this blue light. We're under fluorescent lights. How can we utilize light correctly to heal? And lastly, attunement. And we're going to talk about that in the next few slides as well, because this is something that really snuck past me and I want to make sure that you guys understand it. All right, so attunement. This is a really helpful visual for attuning to how our nervous systems respond to life. So this is called the polyvagal ladder. It's developed by Deb Dana. She was a licensed psychologist. And this ladder shows different states our nervous systems move through. And so depending on whether we're in safety or threatened, we move up and down the ladder if our nervous systems are healthy. So attunement begins by noticing where you are without judgment, just curiously and compassionately checking in with your body to see, where am I at on the ladder? So as you look at this kind of visual, kind of check in with your body and see, where do I feel? What feels familiar? Where do you feel like you are at most of the day? So safety is when you feel present with your people. It's when you feel like you have the resources in your body to do what you can to take on the day. So your friend calls and is like, hey, you want to meet for dinner tonight? And you're like, absolutely. I know that I'm going to have the energy to be able to do that. I feel present. I can't wait to see you. And I know I'm going to be able to keep our plans. You have focus. You can sit down and read something and feel like your brain's clear. In this state, you're going to be more resistant to infections and toxins. Your digestion works. You can absorb. You're just in peace. You feel good. As you move down the ladder, you move to fight or flight. So fight or flight, when you're in fight, you're angry, right? You just feel like you just want to yell or punch something or scream. And flight, you want to get out of here now or else. It's this panic feeling of like, I need to move. I need to get out of here. You worry, you avoid, this is really easy to like ghost people if you just can't deal with it. You withdraw. Now, a lot of times when you have been in chronic symptoms for a really long time, you've been in fight or fight so long that you move down the ladder to shutdown. Shutdown is where you are exhausted, you have a ton of brain fog. Everything feels like too much, like everything is overwhelming. If you just ask me to do one thing, it feels way overwhelming. And then freeze is a blend of the fight or flight and shutdown. So it's like, I need to do this right now, but I can't. Like, I need to finish this work report right now, but I don't have the energy. You do everything for everyone else, but when it comes to yourself, you've got nothing left to give. You worry what people think. You worry how you look. I was in freeze for a long time. I kind of went back and forth between freeze and shutdown, not even realizing that I was in freeze and shutdown. In fact, I felt too tired to even think. So for us, I want to do a practice together. And if you guys are reading this, are you seeing yourself on this ladder at all? Are you seeing yourself in fight or flight, or do you feel like you're in safety a lot, or do you feel shut down? Let me know in the comments if you're resonating with any of this. I know for me, I felt definitely like people pleasing was a big thing for me. It was hard to say no, but I couldn't keep my everything that I RSVP'd to in fight or flight often. Kate, yeah, I know. It's so hard. And we're constantly in that overwhelm of news and TikTok and Instagram and social medias and emails and phone calls and overwhelm. Yeah, it's so easy to feel that right now. And especially when you don't feel good, it's just more your bathtub is taking on. All right. So, like I said, attunement means noticing what your body is telling you and listening to it with curiosity, compassion, and starting to build a relationship with your body, not just trying to be like, "Oh, you're tired, too bad. We're gonna make dinner anyways." Or, "Oh, you have brain fog, too bad. We're gonna try really hard to focus." We're gonna lean into curiously and compassionately checking in with your body because your body isn't the enemy. It's not against you. It's your best friend. Your body's just trying to talk to you and go, hey, I'm overwhelmed here. So healing begins when you start listening to your body like you would a best friend or a child, paying attention to those small cues and acknowledging what you feel and being compassionate with yourself, saying, oh, you're tired again today? That's okay. So this also isn't about forcing gratitude or that like overly positive thinking. I get it. When you have symptoms and you don't feel good, like To be just, oh, we're grateful anyways is really hard. This isn't that. This is just a tuning into what your body is trying to tell you. So we're going to do a little practice together. And I want you to take your right hand and I want you to put it under your left armpit. And then I want you to take your left hand and cross it over your body. And I want you to close your eyes, giving yourself a hug. You don't have to do it perfectly. Just give yourself a hug and close your eyes. And I want you to take a deep breath, exhale, and just curiously and compassionately check in with your body and see what it's trying to tell you. And try not to use the words good or bad. Maybe it feels like it's nervous. Try and use more descriptive words. Maybe you feel a little scared. Maybe it feels seen for the first time by you just checking in. Maybe you feel anxious and you want to get off this call. That's okay. Just curiously and compassionately see what it's trying to say to you. And if you want to share, feel free to share in the comments. I know it can be a little personal, but I know so many times when I check in with my body's just like, thank you for paying attention to me. So when we're practicing attunement, we're not just being mindful, we're communicating directly with the part of the survival brain that's responsible for stress, healing, and then that brings us into the limbic system. So with the limbic system, you might be thinking, what is the limbic system? So your limbic system controls everything. It is the subconscious control center of your brain. It is crucial for regulating literally everything, your digestion, your hormones, your immune system, how your hair grows, your pain perception, your thyroid. Literally everything is controlled by the limbic system. So when your bathtub is overflowing, like we used that analogy earlier with that stress and toxins and trauma, your limbic system gets stuck in survival mode. So it's like a switch that gets turned on, and that's a glitch. That switch that gets turned on is your nervous system trying to become hypervigilant to keep you safe. It essentially thinks that there is a tiger chasing you, even though you're in your living room. And a lot of times that's hard to tell because you're most of the time in shutdown and freeze, so you don't even think there's a tiger there. But when that glitch happens, your body starts mislabeling things that you used to be able to handle just fine as threats. So maybe you can't handle gluten anymore. Maybe you get a headache when you walk down the laundry detergent aisle, or if someone has a scented candle, it gives you a headache. Um, Maybe you don't enjoy socializing like you once did. Maybe you used to be the life of the party and now you just don't really want to go out and see people. Maybe no matter how clean your diet is and how many supplements you take, your energy won't come back. You have weight problems. You're like trying everything and you just can't lose the weight. You have inflammation, even though you're doing everything right. It's because that limbic system has created a glitch and it's on. And so your body and brain are just stuck in this protective pattern, trying to say, hey, that's danger, that's dangerous, stay away from that, stay away from that. We want to keep you safe. Just like that, your body's going, hey, like I'm not going to optimize digestion if there's a tiger here. Our brains think in black and white. There's not really a gray area. Are you safe or are you not? And for the most part, our limbic systems don't think that we're safe. And so it's not going to optimize your hormones. It's not going to prioritize digestion because it's trying to get you out of this danger. So you're probably thinking, I don't feel like I'm in survival mode. Like I said earlier, I didn't either. I felt too tired to think at all. I had way too much brain fog to even feel like I was thinking. But here's how the glitch in the limbic system works. So imagine you're driving down a dirt road. And at first, that dirt road is smooth, but over time and over years, that dirt road that you're driving down starts to form ruts. And eventually, your car just falls automatically into the ruts to go down the dirt road. That's exactly what happens in your brain. Over time, we've all heard that saying, neurons that fire together wire together. And so you don't even probably realize that a lot of the pathways that your brain has created have led to a lot of these chronic symptoms. Chronic stress, chronic symptoms, trauma, carve deep patterns in your nervous system and in your brain And at first, those are helpful, right? They get you out of danger. But over time, when we've been in that too long, it becomes a threat. It just stays in that rut, even though the threat is long gone. So you're just automatically thinking in those pathways where you don't even realize because you're just driving down this rut that you've done for years. And that's just how you think. That's just who you are, right? So your brain is reacting out of habit that just goes, we're just going to naturally go into this rut. But we can get out of this rut. And we get out of this rut using neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is, you've also probably heard brain rewiring. Brain rewiring is not just talking about the tough times or figuring out why we might be why we are today. That can be helpful, but it's about changing the brain's response to stress and rewiring pathways that trigger those stressful events. So smells, sounds, people, those can all trigger threats. And so we use neuroplasticity and brain rewiring to rewire your brain for peace, for safety, for love, for forgiveness. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to rewire itself for health and happiness. And when you're using neuroplasticity, it gives your nervous system a break to be looking for the threats because it's like, hey, I think that there's a lion here. But when we do brain retraining, it lets your nervous system go, okay, I'm going to go on break. Even if it's a 2-minute break, I'm just going to go on a break. And over time, that starts to heal your brain and get your brain out of those ruts. And so you do simple exercises daily to shift that brain out of its old patterns and into new ones. And the best part is there's no such thing as too broken to heal. Neuroplasticity just works. It doesn't matter what your symptoms or diagnoses are, it works. Like it's just like gravity. So I want you to hear me loud and clear when I say this is a very different conversation from when you go to your doctor and they tell you it's just in your head. It's not in your head. That's very different. None of these symptoms are your fault. You didn't do this to yourself. Your body is actually working too well. It's protecting you from what it's perceived as danger. It's just a glitch in the system. From broken food to low minerals to the life we all now live with our phones, your brain thought it needed to keep you safe. And for many of us, this started in childhood. You're navigating a tough parent, a broken home, emotional or physical abuse, feeling like you had to be perfect to be loved. That was your foundation. And then life happened, and we all know how hard life is, especially in today's age. We weren't created for the overload of toxins and the constant access to news and email beeps and depleted minerals in our soil that continually fill our tub. So I see a lot of my clients come to me that are like, yeah, I had a rough childhood and then this happened and I've struggled ever since. But but you can heal. I mean, I'm living proof of it. You can feel good again, and it doesn't require thousands of dollars of supplements, all the expensive testing. It just requires a framework to heal. And that's what I created was the Medella Method. This method recognizes true healing happens when both the physical body and the mental body combine. And rather than just chasing symptoms, the Medella method focuses on giving your body and brain the right inputs to heal. So we just need, and a lot of those inputs are free, making sure that you're getting the right light, making sure that you're doing minerals, blood sugar stabilization, understanding traumas and stressors, rewiring your brain, draining out the toxicity, living in a healthy environment, attuning to what your body needs, and then giving it the right signals to sense its safety to where it can absorb all the food that you're eating, all that expensive farmers market organic food, or the few supplements that you might take. So imagine if you had the energy to travel again, to keep your plans with friends and not worry about being too tired to not be able to follow through, to be able to order off the menu without having to switch everything and make sure it's like perfect, to be able to walk down the laundry detergent aisle at your grocery store and not get a headache. Add foods back in. Maybe you're like, I'm not eating like X, Y, and Z. Add those foods back in. What would that feel like? I just wanted to feel free and be able to just live my life and be the person I was created to be. So it doesn't matter where you're at in your healing journey, whether you're just starting out and you're trying to figure out what to do, or if you've been at this for a really long time, you can keep doing what you've been doing. But if you're feeling stuck or plateaued, or you want a framework to heal, or you have New Year's resolutions that are goals of yours, and that something isn't more supplements and less food groups, then you have a choice. You can join the Medella Method, or you can keep trying to do it yourself. And so here's the what our members inside are having to say. So um, I had a working mom who was exhausted, bloated. She was on thyroid medicine. She tried everything. She was gluten-free, exercising. She couldn't hit her weight goals, and she was just trying to get better. And after a few months of being in the membership and implementing the exercises, she's able to cut her thyroid medicine in half, and the weight started falling off. And more importantly, she had the energy to play with her kids. I had another client that he had a ton of food allergies, food sensitivities. He was taking so many supplements, but wasn't seeing the return. And when he started working on the framework, his food sensitivities were gone. He had this weird foot pain that went away. And all he did was implement some of the exercises. He's like, I've got my environment dialed, I've got my nutrition dialed, but I need some of the mental help. So I've got an exclusive offer for you guys if you're ready to say you're all in. I have a community that opens up a couple times a year that I have usually for $97. For the next 4 days only, I'm offering this special for the new year because I want you guys to get better. And it's going to be 50% off using the code New Year. And I'll send you the link here in a second. All you do is you join, you have instant access, and you can cancel at any time. For $49 a month, you have recipes, you have blood sugar stabilization suggestions, you have a frame exercises that you can do every single day. You have a calendar that you can print out if you're a calendar type of person, if you get overwhelmed, for $49 a month. Plus, I'm going to throw in my bonus Read Your Blood Work for Optimal Healing program. I sold that on my website last year for $400. So you, if you have your blood work taken, can go in and watch my videos and see where your blood work falls under the optimal blood work. So when you go inside the membership, this is what it's going to look like. You have your meals. Like I said, you have a calendar that you can print off in the welcome area. You have all this framework and steps to do. Plus, we do meet every month, and I do an energy clearing for everyone and answer any questions that might have come up while they're inside the membership. So you're going to have the whole framework to heal. And then we'll meet monthly to chat. Plus, you have a community of people that are healing from things and relate to life just like you guys are. So it's really nice to be able to have that community aspect as well. So I'm going to put in the chat, you can, I just had sent it over. So you can do month to month and use code New Year for 50% off. Or if you want to do a 6-month recurring subscription, you can use the code New You. And I think that pencils out to a little over $39 a month for the 6-month recurring subscription. And um, you can access just courses.medellahealing.com /enroll. But here's the thing. I want you guys to heal. I don't want you to just manage your symptoms. I don't want you to keep throwing money at expensive supplements. I don't want you to just cope. I want you to actually get your life back, because I think if we all feel better, the world's going to be better. And this is exactly what I wished would have existed when I was in the thick of my healing journey. I remember sitting through a couple of these and they were like $3,000, $5,000 programs. I don't know about you, but I didn't have the money to do that. So that's why I've made it the price of a supplement, because you're going to be able to reduce your supplements and be able to start healing for $49 a month. I think if you feel better, the world's going to be better, and just going to, I mean, it's no secret that the world's struggling right now, right? And so I think that a lot of us just don't feel good, and we just need the right inputs and framework to get out of this cycle of symptoms. And so use the code New Year for 50% off. Come join us next week for our first energy clearing of the year. $49, no, yeah, no other charges. It's $49 a month flat fee. cancel at any time. You're not locked into anything. You could just join for a month and cancel, or you can stay for most of my members have been there for over a year because they just love the community aspect as well. And I'm constantly updating and putting new information in as it comes to me and anything I can make simpler or anything. So most of the time, yeah, you're not locked in. It's just $49 a month. No secrets, no hidden stuff. It's not like one of those gym memberships. I don't know if any of you have ever joined a gym and you can't get out of it and then your credit card is getting charged. It's like, no, you go into your billing, you go into settings in the portal and you can just cancel. So it's super easy. Is there any other questions? I try and be really careful of everyone's time here. I know you're all probably working and trying to do all the things. So if there's no more questions, this is super helpful. Awesome, Kate. Thank you. Thank you for your time today. I want you guys to heal. So I hope to see you next week for our first energy clearing, um, group energy clearing, and any questions that come up between now and then. Remember that's only 50% off for the next 4 days. And I'm going to stop the share here, stop the recording.